G'day, I'm Mike Hayes and welcome to Jazz Guitar Chord-melody, part 55. You know, once you discover ways of connecting your chords with little scale runs and arpeggios, you'll notice that your whole chord melody playing takes on an entirely different dimension altogether. And that's what we're here to do today. We're going to work out ways of connecting our chords from one string grid to the next with clever little runs from our Major Sixth Diminished Scale. So if this is the first time on our channel, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified just as soon as our latest videos are available. Okay, we better hop to it. There's a lot on the menu today, and I can't wait to see how it all turns out. Okay, let's get cracking. Our first project will be to connect string grid 1 chords to string grid 2 chords. We'll be doing a full range workout in this session, so depending on the style of guitar that you're playing, some of the higher chord shapes may not be practical on your guitar. In any case, the idea is to follow through each of the exercises so you understand the underlying concept. We're going to begin with a C6 chord on string grid 1, and the idea is to connect this C6 chord to the next nearest C6 chord on string grid 2. We'll be holding each chord for 2 beats, and we'll be playing the whole exercise through twice. Here we go. Our next step will be to connect these two C6 chords using notes from the Major Sixth Diminished Scale. And if you recall, that's simply a C major scale with an additional G sharp. Now we'll be playing the scale in a descending fashion, and the idea is that I'm going to use the lowest note in the first chord, in this instance that would be the note E, as my starting point in the scale. So if we have a look at the Major Sixth Diminished Scale, if I use E as my starting point, and then I'm going to play the scale in a descending fashion, I'm going to be playing these notes. I'll be playing E, D, C, B, A. And I'm going to use this note A as the lowest note in my second chord. That's the C6 chord we played earlier on string grid 2. And now I'll play those connecting set of notes. You'll see a diagram on the screen where I'm playing these notes, but feel free to try different ways of playing this set of notes. Here we go. Okay, now we're going to put the whole thing together. We're going to connect the C6 chord on string grid 1 to the C6 chord on string grid 2 using these descending notes from the Major Sixth Diminished Scale. Now, the idea is when I play the first chord, I'm going to count that E note as part of the chord. Then I'm going to play the notes D, C, B, A, and then strum the C6 chord on the second string grid. So I'm thinking of that A note as the bass note for the C6 chord on the second string grid. Let's have a listen. Right then, that's the idea. So now we'll move down to the next C6 chord on string grid 1, and we're going to connect this C6 chord to the nearest C6 chord on the second string grid using notes from the C Major Sixth Diminished Scale. So the next thing we have to do is work out what our connecting notes are. So to do that, we have a look at the lowest note in the C6 chord on string grid 1, and in this instance it's the note C. So now I'm going to play C, B, A flat, G, and that G note is going to be the lowest note in our C6 chord on string grid 2. Let's have a listen to those connecting notes. And once again, if you prefer a different way of playing that set of notes on the guitar, that's fine. Here we go. Okay, now we're ready to connect those two C6 chords. Here we go. Right, I think you're probably getting the idea now. So let's move down to the next C6 chord and have a look at what connecting notes we have to use. The lowest note in the C6 chord on string grid 1 is the note A. So we'll play A flat, G, F, E. And that E note will be the lowest note on our C6 chord on string grid 2. Let's have a listen to those notes. Right then, time to connect those chords. Here goes. Okay, on to the next C6 chord, and if we have a look at the lowest note in this C6 chord, we'll see it's the note G. So our connecting notes will be G, F, E, D, C. Let's have a listen to those notes. Okay, let's connect those two C6 chords. Okay, so it's time to connect all our C6 chords on string grid 1 to the C6 chords on string grid 2. We'll play through the entire sequence twice. Here goes. Okay, let's go through the entire process again, only this time we'll be using the B diminished chord, which of course is the only other chord that's produced from the C Major Sixth Diminished Scale. Let's connect the B diminished chords on string grid 1 to the nearest B diminished chord on string grid 2. If we check our B diminished chord, we'll notice that the lowest note is D. Therefore, the notes in our connecting scale will be D, C, B, A flat, and A flat will be the lowest note in the string grid 2 B diminished chord. Here's those connecting notes. And now it's time to connect the two B diminished chords. The lowest note in the next B diminished chord is B. So the connecting series of notes will be B, A flat, G, F. And the F note will be the lowest note in the string grid 2 B diminished chord. Let's check out those notes. Time to connect those B diminished chords. The lowest note in our next B diminished chord is A flat. Therefore, our connecting series of notes will be A flat, G, F, E, D. And D will be the lowest note of our B diminished chord on string grid 2. Let's check out those notes. Time to connect the B diminished chords. Okay, on to the last B diminished chord, and the lowest note here is F. Therefore, our connecting series of notes will be F, E, D, C, B, and B will be the lowest note in the B diminished chord on string grid 2. Let's check out those notes. Time to connect those B diminished chords. Right then, it's review time again, so we'll connect all the B diminished chords on string grid 1 to the B diminished chords on string grid 2. And now let's review everything we've covered in this lesson. We'll alternate between C6 and B diminished, and we'll be connecting each triad from string grid 1 to string grid 2. Here we go, and good luck. did you go? Here's the same thing, just a little bit faster if you want to try it. Okay, just before we finish this session, I've been naming these chords C sixth and B diminished. Don't forget, we could also be thinking of these chords as A minor 7 and E7 flat 9. Here's an example where I'm treating this as a minor version of what we've been playing. It's very James Bond. Well, that's it for this session, folks. Wherever you are in the world, I hope that's given you something new to think about and practice. And don't forget, if you have any questions or comments, to pop them in the comments section below this video. As always, I look forward to catching up with you again next time. Bye for now.